That's all sorted. We're on to the next thing, which I'm going to tub the arches. And the first thing I just want to quickly go over is why people actually tub the arches. Which is because if your tyre's normally sitting in here and your suspension goes up, it goes on the inside of this guard here. But as soon as you put on wider tyres and wheels like I'm going to, now my wheel is going to come in and it's going to hit this lip of the guard. So what I want to do is I want to bring this guard up and be level with the inside. So firstly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off all the underseal and everything, and what I'd really suggest people to do is to invest in one of these what is called a Brumby strip it disc. And what it does is that it takes off all the material, but it doesn't make the metal thinner. So when you go back and you actually start welding it, the metal's not thinner, you're not blowing as many holes. So instead of using a flat wheel, I'll definitely invest in getting these strip it discs. Alright, well now that I've taken off all the underseal through here, next thing what I'm going to do is actually use this little tool that I made up, and what it's going to do is this flat surface here is actually going to ride up on the inside of the tub here, and this little point here lines up with the top of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it across here, and what I'm going to get is a line on the outside here which directly lines up with the inside of the tub here. So that's how I know how high the tub is going to go. Alright, let's get that done. Oh, well now I've got the line, which is my black line through here. So that's the same as the tub on the inside here. So so what some people do is that they just cut along this line and they come in and weld it on. But I think it kind of looks like a bit unfinished and a little bit ugly. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to cut down from about 1.5 centimeters, and what that's going to allow me to do is then come in with a pair of pliers, and then I'll be able to actually retain this lip. So I'll be able to carry on this lip and it'll come up. My flares will cover it, but it's just, you know, nice to know that you've just done these little fine touches. So that's next up. Alright, so what I've done is I've cut along my line here. Just ignore that middle line, I was mucking around, but so on the inside I've also cut out the inside, and what I actually did was I just used the tip of the Sharpie, marked it, and this is the start of the flat point. So that's just going to come straight across here. But next what I'm going to do, so I'm going to grab a pair of pliers and I'm going to bring it up to my line here, and I'm going to slowly bend it. And what I really want to make sure you don't do is try and just do it in one go, where you just go, it's just going to create a really crappy line. So I'm probably going to go over this about 4 or 5 times, just slowly, go again, slowly, slowly, until I've got my perfect right angle. Alright, well, I'm finally coming back near a year later and editing these videos that I made quite a while ago, but I was going to chop them in here. So before you actually chuck in that bottom plate here, is you want to drill some holes, because you're going to come back in here and actually spot weld them in. Alright, so I have now got my panel on the inside here. I've got it all clamped up. I've got a very nice gap here going on. Excuse those side pieces, I'm going to sort that out after I widen in this piece. Alright, so the little clamps that I've got is just these little butt welding clamps, and all it is I'm not going to pay for these because they're just stupidly expensive. So so this is a piece of square with a bolt in there with a thin piece of steel with a hole in it. So it just goes into your gap. Stick the little piece of metal in behind it. Tighten up the nut in the end. Then all it does is it just pulls the two pieces of steel together, so you can get a really nice gap. Right, well, nobody asked for my opinion, but here it is anyway. If you should get MIG or TIG, and I would say TIG every time, just because it is just a lot more controllable, and just pulse TIG welding is a lot faster. It warps the panel a lot less. It's definitely faster as well if you're doing longer beads on this thinner steel, so that you're not stitch welding it. And yeah, if I was to pick between having a MIG or a TIG, I've got both, but I probably use the MIG maybe 2 or 3% of the time. It's just, TIG is just so much more, it's just better. Just, if you're going to get one of the two, get the TIG. Alright, well, I've come in here, I've done all my spot welds. Had to add in these little plates just because there was just a little bit of rust on either side, but other than that, she's all welded up. So the last thing I need to do is come in here, and what I've done is I've just got a little bit of square stock, cut it down to the right width that I want my little seam here to be. So I was going to lay that against there, come in with my flat wheel, and I'm going to sand down the whole thing, and I'm going to have a nice little seam on the outside there to match the rest. Alright, so I ended up going with the 215/50 13s, because here in New Zealand I can't run a 175, which a lot of people run over in the UK and such like that. A lot of people run them here in New Zealand as well, but it's actually illegal. So I wanted to run a legal street tyre. So I've got 215/50 13s on a 13 by 7 inch rim. These are the Mumbas which I have powder coated. So to make them fit, I've also got the space drum on the back here. I had to change the wheel studs to longer wheel studs. I got the lowered height gas shocks. If you have the standard height, it'll actually hit the bracket here. So I've gone for the lowered height gas shocks here, and the adjustable camber and toe plates. So if you're running the 175/50 tyres, I believe that you don't actually have to have the lowered height. It's just the lowered height brings the arm up a little bit, so it won't interfere with the bracket over here. Alright, well that's the arches tubbed out, so that now gives me a lot more play here in the tyre. So obviously this wheel sticks out quite a bit more than the standard tyre. So now I've got no interference down here. If you want to run the big tyres, you definitely have to run a pretty big offset tyre, because I've got about 5mm of space around the whole tyre, so it's definitely really tight in there, but it fits. Everything's moved as it should, even at the top from here before it bottoms out. Obviously I don't have the cones in there, but it's going to bottom out on the cone before well, the tyre can't actually bottom out on the arch anyway. So they said it couldn't be done, but there it is, 215/50 13s on the rear. So hopefully that'll give me enough grip for the Vtec. Alright, well, let's see what video comes out next.